Hip, hip, hooray! Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 404. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves and former Chicago Cub Jorge Soler. Broken bat. This holds a special place in my heart. So I'm going to talk about Jorge. Today's main topic is going to be damaged mail and who's responsible, because there was a tweet yesterday that I saw. I saw a tweet, I think a few days ago or last week, about damaged mail. It's pretty clear cut. I know I saw a comment that it's like there's no transparency, but there really is. And so I'm going to explain where that responsibility falls if you receive the We Care, the dreaded baggy, the dreaded We Care baggy. A full house in the chat this morning. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Herman. Good morning, George. Zach, Andrew, what is up? Happy Wednesday, November 3rd. And Jorge, 5 years to the day that the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, November 2nd, 2016 and 2021. So this bobblehead holds a special place in my heart. So this bobblehead, this Jorge Soler bobblehead, was actually mentioned in two of my wedding speeches. The first mention was our maid of honor, my wife's very good friend Di, who said that she knew it was meant to be when my wife not only went to a baseball game, but went 90 minutes early so her boyfriend at the time could get a Jorge Soler bobblehead, and then went through 95-degree heat in the bleachers during this Cubs game. So Di mentioned it in her speech, and then I brought it up in my speech at our wedding. So Jorge Soler. Also, this holds for Cubs history. This holds some history because Jorge Soler bobblehead day also happened on the day the Cubs were no hit for the first time in 50 years. That was when Cole Hamels of the Philadelphia Phillies no hit the Chicago Cubs back in 2015. Yeah, 2015. So yeah, Jorge Soler, the bobblehead. I think our cleaners, when they were, I got upset because they've now broken two. I mean, and this is over the course of 5 years. So they've broken two of my bobbleheads. And I said something to my wife, and she's like, "Well, you can dust those shelves." And I decided I'll take the chance of damaged bobbleheads, so I don't have to dust the shelves. Zach, she did that and you bitch about watching Yellowstone. I know. So let's talk mail. The dreaded We Care baggy with damaged contents. Now, fortunately, the last couple We Care baggies that I've received, the contents, now the bubble mailer or the envelope were beat to all heck, but the contents were okay. But in some cases, it looks like they've been set on fire. In the instance yesterday that I saw on Twitter, it looked like a forklift ran over the bubble mailer and then somebody set it on fire. And then I saw the contents inside, and oof, it was in a Cunha. I don't know what card it was, but it was destroyed. The top loader was destroyed. The card was messed up. So the question was, who's responsible? I have a background in transportations, but it's much different than actually every level of transportation. It's going to vary. So I was on the truckload side. There's also LTL, and then you get into ships and cargo planes and U.S. mail. It's all different. So Jenny asks, was it bubble mailer or PWE or flat rate? So the package in question on Twitter yesterday was a bubble mailer. Diego, what's up? Good morning. I can't believe you don't have one wrestling card for the personal memories. um, yeah, I really don't. I don't have. I mean, I have a bunch of wrestling cards, and so Diego is referencing my podcast last night with Jean Morning. Um, yeah, I don't have any like personal memory wrestling cards. I have wrestling cards in my like I won't even say my collection because I don't I don't have my only collection is Cubs cards and Cubs memorabilia. So everything else is just in this room inventory, I guess is what we'll call it. So I have on cards as inventory. I just don't have any like nothing. I don't have anything um in my card room. In my inventory card room that has any personal ties. Good morning, Uncle Rich. Hi there at work. So not going to comment a lot. Well, I'm glad to have you along for the ride this morning. Going back to the damaged mail, and so my side in transportation, and I worked for a third party logistics company, and I had damage claims every once in a while, and some were easy, some were just annoying, and some were difficult. My most difficult, I will share this story. My most difficult damaged product claim was one of my clients hauled bulk cottonseed out of the South, out of Georgia and Alabama. And so what they use here in Wisconsin is for the dairy farms, and it's hauled during the winter months, and it's roughage for the cows, and it's like a protein add to the feed for dairy cows. So we haul the cottonseed from Georgia and Alabama up into mostly the Green Bay, Wisconsin area. One of the trucks that was hauling this cottonseed was going through the suburbs of Chicago. I can't remember which one, and hit a low bridge, and it sheared the top of the trailer. And this cottonseed bulk, they blow it in like it's like a reverse. It's like a leaf blower, and they just it's like a reverse vacuum. They blow it into the truck, so it's messy, and it's just blown right into the trailer. And so it's bulk. And so if the top of the trailer sheared off, guess what? The top of the trailer was sheared off, and then I think it tipped, and there was just cottonseed, a mound of cottonseed on the side of the road in this town outside of Chicago. So they had to the township like hauled it to their had to bring in like not a forklift, like an end loader, and transported all this cottonseed to their yard, to like the salt yard of their township. So I had to go through this. This was like the most in-depth damage claim I had, because I had to first call. There was a police report. The trailer and the was hauled to the tow truck hauled it to like their facility. So I had to call the tow truck company. They're like, well, there's a police report, so here's the number to the local police department. I had to call the police department and get their report, get that information. And then I had to call the township and the city administrator. I had to talk with the city administrator. He's like, hey, I want this cottonseed out of our yard. Can I just destroy it? And I'm like, well, I've got to get with my client, and then you've got to talk to the customer. What do you want done? Is it salvageable? Well, if the trailer, this is used for animal feed, so if it's on the ground and the top of the trailer was sheared off, there's going to be metal shavings, so it's not salvageable in the sense that it's going to be used as animal feed. So it's essentially garbage. They have to write it off, and so it was a big deal. It was not a big deal, but it took up more time than I would have liked. So who's responsible? Now that's easy. And the driver went under a bridge that he shouldn't have been driving under. Right there, hey, this is the max height your trailer can be. So the damage fell on the carrier, and so they had to pay for the damaged product. But when it comes to USPS, it's kind of a gray area. And so you get a We Care baggie. And so I'm going to use yesterday's instance that I saw on Twitter, a bubble mailer. And likely this bubble mailer, and I don't know all of the specifics to this particular instance, but I'm assuming, and let's just for the sake of this discussion, it was first class package, which is more than likely what it's going to be sent the way it was sent. So in a first class package, there's no insurance. The only insurance, and I think that's a big myth, packages sent through the mail, is that there should be insurance. No, you have to pay for insurance. Now, there is insurance that comes with the priority mail, and Jenny worked for the USPS. She can correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's $50. It's like a base $50 on priority, and if you want to insure it for more, you have to pay for that additional. Say it's a $200 card, you have to pay for the additional $150 of insurance to cover that, to cover the contents. So in this case, assuming it's first class package in a bubble mailer, there is no insurance unless the buyer or seller purchased insurance. Now, where does insurance? Who should cover the insurance? Well, the buyer should always cover the insurance. Now, if you're buying a $500 card, that should be discussed, and that's a negotiation. If the buyer wants insurance and the seller doesn't offer it, the buyer should either A, look elsewhere if the seller's not going to pay for that insurance, or B, the buyer is on the hook to buy insurance for that package and it's tacked onto the shipping cost. And that's between the buyer and the seller. But if a buyer wants insurance, they have to be, they're going to be on the hook unless the seller says, yeah, hey, this comes with X amount of insurance. So Jenny says, yes, $50 base with priority, can add more. First class, no insurance. Seller should pay insurance if not wanting to risk reimbursing the money. And again, that's where the buyer and seller need to negotiate. Insurance is on the buyer. Insurance is something that, obviously the seller, neither parties want damaged mail because it's going to be a hassle for both people, because the buyer wants the card intact as it was purchased. The seller wants that card to sent intact to the end user, the buyer, because he doesn't want to lose the card and the money. So the insurance does benefit both parties, but it should always be on the buyer, in my opinion, should always be on the buyer to purchase that, but it also should be hashed out beforehand, before the transaction is completed between the buyer and seller. Is there going to be insurance? If so, who's going to pay for that insurance? And then you can agree on who's going to purchase that insurance. And why I say it should always be on the buyer, I'm selling cards. There's no insurance. I'm not paying for insurance. I sell mostly low-end cards. So, if I sell a $5 card and it gets damaged in the mail, I'm just going to reimburse the buyer $5 for the damage. Jenny would disagree. Buyer doesn't cover insurance from Walmart, Amazon, Target. If item arrives damaged, they contact seller. That's a little different. The big box store is a little different than buying and selling on eBay. I would agree with you on that. But there's no insurance. Actually, I would disagree with that, because if you want a package insured, and I'm pretty sure you have to pay for the insurance from Walmart, Amazon, Target. Insurance doesn't come with your shipping. If you buy a scanner, if you buy a Fujitsu 7030 scanner from Amazon, there was no insurance. If I wanted that package to be insured, I would have to, as a buyer, pay for that insurance. Amazon's not going to ship that insurance. I have to pay as a buyer. I have to pay extra for the insurance on that package. Now, if it arrives damaged, Amazon's going to work it out, and Amazon is going to, or whoever the seller is on Amazon, they're going to make it right. When you're dealing with individual buyers and sellers on eBay, it's a little different because they're not Amazon, they're not Walmart, they're not Target. Jenny says, as a seller, if you sold a Trout rookie, you'd buy insurance instead of telling buyer to risk because you'd want to cover yourself. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Not every seller is going to do that. Isn't there a difference between how USPS does insurance and FedEx or UPS? Yes, there is. There absolutely is. And Rich, I don't know how FedEx and UPS handles. I rarely ship using those services. So I can't comment on how FedEx or UPS because I'm not savvy with how those insurances work with those companies. But in my previous job, working with companies like FedEx and didn't really work with UPS much, but I did. It's a pain. I'll just leave it at that. It is a giant pain. Amazon does their own delivery, so they can take responsibility. So in the instance, say you buy a Mike Trout rookie card on eBay. There's no insurance. The seller sends it in a bubble mailer, and this happens. Not every seller is going to insure the package. Not every seller is going to ship. Now, this is my own. This is just how I handle. What's up, Dan? Good morning. Good evening to you. This is how I handle things, and everybody's different. But if I sell like a $200 up card, even sometimes $100, just depends, I typically put it in a box inside a bubble mailer because I've had personally far more, and I shouldn't say far more, I've had more damaged bubble mailers than I have damaged PWEs. And I ship 100 times more plain white envelopes than I do bubble mailers. But I've had more damaged bubble mailers. So when I'm shipping a higher dollar card, I ship it in a box inside a bubble mailer. So I'll put it in I don't even know if I have a small box, but I'll put it in like a 200, 300 count box because it can fit in long ways. And then I'll put some foam or something or bubble wrap inside that box. And then I'll put the box inside a larger bubble mailer. And everybody handles things different. I've had higher end cards sent to me in just a bubble mailer. But personally, as a seller, I'm not going to risk that, but other people will. Rich says, I'm referring more to why those other companies you mentioned can send insured and have you not pay thereof. I can't answer. I don't know. I can't answer that. Amazon transfers packages to USPS in certain towns, so using same delivery driver as first class cards. So say the first class package arrives, the seller sends, say it's a Mike Trout rookie card. It's only sent in a bubble mailer. Maybe there's a piece of cardboard, but it's just been damaged all to heck. It's forklift drove over it. It's got tire marks on the bubble mailer. Looks like it caught on fire. Maybe the rubber was burning and the top loader's destroyed and it burned the card inside. It's basically it's done. It's damaged. There's no saving this card, this Mike Trout rookie card. So it's sent in a first class bubble mail. There's no insurance. Say it was the seller didn't offer insurance unless you requested the insurance as a buyer. You as a buyer did not request that insurance. So it's shipped with no insurance. USPS, they're off the hook. Even though they damaged this bubble mailer, this product, they have no responsibility. It is no responsibility of USPS because you as a buyer or seller did not purchase insurance to cover potential damage. So USPS, even though they're the ones that damaged, and that's where the biggest misconception is that, well, they damaged it, they're at fault. No, well, they're at fault, but they're not entitled to offer you anything because there was no insurance and there was no disclosure because insurance you pay, if the card's worth $50, you're going to pay a lot less insurance than if the card's worth $5,000 because, you're not going to say it's a $50 card, so you can pay a lot less in insurance and it does get damaged. Well, they're only going to cover $50 worth of insurance, and if it's 5,000, well, there's $4,500 unaccounted for. So you can't work the system in that regard. So USPS off the hook in this instance. Now it comes down to a buyer seller. Say the transaction was, and I'm going to use eBay because that's what I'm most familiar with. I'm not familiar with selling on Amazon or any other third-party platform. So I'm just going to use eBay. eBay doesn't want anything to do with this because eBay wants all transactions to be handled between buyer and seller as a third party, and in third party logistics. That's the preferable method. Is, hey, I'm just the middleman. I offer you this software to sell product. We don't care about how it gets from point A to point B. That's between you two. So now, as a buyer, you're pissed because you just spent $1,000 or whatever a Mike Trout rookie costs these days. You didn't buy insurance. The seller didn't offer the insurance. There's no insurance. So USPS, they're out of the equation. It's between you, the buyer, and the seller. So who's responsible? Well, essentially the seller, because they didn't package the card to where it wouldn't get damaged. If they would have, if it was just in the card in question from yesterday, it wasn't a Mike Trout rookie, it was an Acuna something, but if they would have put, and somebody mentioned cardboard, even if there was cardboard covering the top loader inside this, it would have done nothing. Now, if they would have put it in like my method of a box, but this could have been a $20 card, so I don't know. But if it was a higher dollar card, put it in a box, it probably still would have got run over, but once it hit the wheel hit the box of the forklift or whatever, ran over it, or however it was damaged, probably would have prevented the card inside getting damaged. So it is the seller's responsibility to make sure it's packaged, because we all know how the USPS can handle packages. And if you're just putting, I always try to put, this is just air conditioner sealant, or not sealant, but air conditioner foam for like windows. You can buy like a whole bag of this at Menards for like $2 or $3. So I use this. I use these for monster boxes for separators. I put that bubble wrap, just wrap it up. So it's on the seller to be responsible. Now you're going to run into, most sellers on eBay don't do this full time, and they're not businesses in the sense where they're just selling off extra cards to buy more cards or whatever. It's a hobby, and they just sell these on the side. So they're like, well, it's not my fault. That's on the post office. You've got to get with them. Now, as a seller, that's your responsibility to have that. Like if there's lost mail, that should be on the seller, not the buyer, to find the package. The seller is responsible for a package until its final destination delivery. That's another misconception, but that's a topic for another day. So it's on the seller, package it correctly, get it safely. If the post office damages it and there's no insurance, on the seller. So the buyer and the seller, they've got to work things out. Now, what if the seller's like, that's not on me, you've got to reach out to the post office. And at this point, you've got to escalate, most likely. And that's when you open a return or a damage claim. I think there's a return for damage. And as a buyer, eBay will side with you, especially if you have the photos to prove it, like this person did yesterday. If you can't hash out a deal, if the seller's not gonna offer anything, or if it's not to your liking, that's when you escalate it to eBay. eBay steps in, they review it, like, wow, yeah, that was damaged all to hell, and they're gonna approve it, or however that works, and you're gonna send it back and get your money back. George says, I pulled the trigger and shot him, but I didn't make the gun and bullet, so not my fault. Talking what should be correct on eBay, or what the actual eBay method is, because on eBay, seller is responsible all the way to the buyer's door. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's on eBay, the seller is responsible until final delivery. But I do agree that it's out of the seller's hands once they drop it off at mail. But that's not how eBay sees it. Yeah, and that's just how that and that's how all transportation works. There's even there's going to be responsibility on one party or another. Like in my background in truckload freight, it just depends how the paperwork is handled at the shipper. Sometimes the shipper is responsible until its final destination, and then sometimes that burden of responsibility falls on the carrier once that seal is applied to the trailer and its final destination. So then all responsibility falls on the carrier. That's another whole different story. It just all varies. My biggest suggestion: be way more careful with mail from now until January 1st, because the postal system is so swamped now that they will throw packages faster and less care. Absolutely. I'm getting more and more delays. I'm also seeing more and more impatience by buyers. 5 days later and they haven't received their card. It's like, this is the new normal in mail delivery. Please have patience. Jenny says some drivers are paid by route, not hour. They will just toss packages to get it sorted to get out the door. Some drivers have worked until dark and been pulled in these months. Yeah, and I think we've seen some of our our boxes arrive just all beat up and looks like they were not handled very very nicely. So the that's kind of where the responsibility lies, and it is gray because it's just transportation and mail delivery. There's just so many things. Every situation can be different. So it is what it is. It is a gray area because it's just there can't really be full transparency because every situation is different. But ultimately, insurance, the USPS isn't going to cover any damage unless the package is insured, and that needs to be decided between the buyer and the seller. And I would say 95 to 98% of cases, the seller is not going to come out and offer insurance. If you, as a buyer, want to purchase insurance, that's on you. Like, that's on the buyer to add that cost. If you buy anything from any big box, insurance is not going to automatically come with that. If you want the package insured, you have to pay for that cost. Now, big box stores are also going to be more willing to work with you in the event of damage than a random eBay seller, if it is a random eBay seller. So, good morning, Bo. Go Braves. What's up, Bob? Yes. I was celebrating the Braves at the start with my Jorge Soler bobblehead. 5 years to the day he won a World Series with the Cubs. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Today is Wednesday. I added more. What I add yesterday? I think I went basketball heavy yesterday in my eBay store. Added about 150 basketball. I added some LeBron James. I added a bunch of rookies. I'm purging my rookie boxes, and I'm like, it got to the point where I was hoarding all of these basketball rookies for 10 to 15 cents a piece in the event that somebody blows up and has a 40-point game. I got to the point where I have about 10,000 basketball rookies from the last 2 to 3 years, and it's like, if I can move these for $1.50 or $2, I paid 10 cents for these. In some instances, I paid a penny or 2 cents. So if I can just move them. There are some guys that I'm holding aside. James Wiseman, he's still hurt, hasn't played yet. So I've got some color prisms and stuff of James Wiseman that I'm holding. Some other players that I think will break out at some point. But a lot of the guys that just don't get minutes, $1.50, and I'll consider offer. So I put about 100. I listed about 150 basketball in my eBay store yesterday. This morning I'm going to do some more shipping. Less orders to get out this morning than what I did yesterday morning. So another stack of cards, and I think I'm going to do more basketball today, and then I think tomorrow's Thursday, go into football and do a big football going into the weekend. So that's where I'm at eBay store wise. Jenny says, I just feel like a good eBay seller will take care of the buyer if a USPS issue because they want long-term sales. Yes, absolutely agree with that. However, there are a lot of not good eBay sellers, and there's just a lot of random like people that only sell one or two things. And like, hey, I've got this Mike Trout rookie. I want to make a quick buck, and they don't care. Like, that there's just unfortunately there's still just a lot of not good eBay sellers on the platform, and even some that haven't. And just because there's a high number with feedback doesn't mean they're a good eBay seller either. I've run into some doozies. So yeah, Diego says, congrats, Herman, and your fandom and BWAGs. Absolutely. Congrats to you guys. I was rooting for the Braves, and I was rooting for the Braves not because I hate the Astros and their cheating ways. I was actually rooting for the Braves because, I have friends that are Atlanta Braves fans. I have a couple friends that are Astros fans, but I have more Braves fan friends. So I was rooting for them. And Jorge Soler, former Cub. I've got to root for Jorge. And I love the Braves. Like they're just, I love the talent. And just think, the Braves won the World Series without Ronald Acuna, and Mike Soroka. He's out too. So I think, did he have Tommy John? So he's, going to be back hopefully next year. Acuna. So Braves have a good thing going. So yeah. So congratulations again. Okay, I think that's all. Today is Wednesday, so Brad's going live later this morning. Last night was Hobby Hotline Overtime. I did not watch that live, so I'm going to watch that back as I ship this morning. So in case you didn't watch that live last night, Hobby Hotline Overtime, which is now running on Tuesdays. I'll be on in 2 weeks. November, I think 16th is when I'll be on. So that'll be fun. What else is going on? I think that's it. So have a great Wednesday, and we will chat tomorrow.